Welcome to the Mom Meetings a Moment podcast. We're your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective.
We are two moms obsessed with revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves. We are so glad you're here. Let's dive in. We can all agree life is not an easy ride. During the journey, we have dreams and desires. However, many times we get scared and stuck during the process of attempting to fulfill our intrinsic goals. Coaches help you get there faster by helping you rediscover your power and all of the things you're already capable of. Coaches will not let you resist your greatness. Kristin Baker is an executive and leadership coach who specializes in coaching professional women to lead fun, purpose-driven lives while navigating the demands of parenthood. She says, quote, 50% of what I know about leadership comes from the business world, and the other 50% comes from my experience as a mother, end quote. Kristin's professional experiences have helped her develop a deep understanding of team dynamics, performance management, operations, and the development of a thriving workplace culture. Her experience as a mother continues to teach her about forming relationships that can withstand any misunderstanding or disagreement. We continue chatting with Kristin Baker, and she talks about elevating feminine leadership, integrating who we are across all the areas of our life, finding ease and trust in both work and at home. She talks about the change in thinking that needs to happen for moms who are ready to reclaim their identity, focus on their own well-being, and create boundaries that help source more purpose and fulfillment in their careers and relationships. We hope you enjoy our discussion. When you're coaching, it often comes down to asking powerful questions that get to the root of the individual's personal desires. I think it would be helpful for you to share your personal story of change. You have a bit, but if there's anything you want to add into that story that you've already shared, and how you were able to magnify your own ability to make a positive impact. So what powerful questions did you ask yourself? And what questions should our listeners begin to start asking themselves right now that's going to help unleash any of that blocked energy and begin discovering ways that they can personally begin taking their power back where they have been unknowingly giving away their greatness?
Ooh, Cindy, that is a doozy of a question.
I know, I loaded you up.
It's great. So let's see. Powerful questions. One of the most powerful questions that anyone ever asked me while I was creating my future, when I worked at Lululemon for a long time, I loved working at this place. It was filled with personal development. I went to the Landmark Forum, which is a personal development like weekend seminar, which I highly recommend, but also is very difficult. It's painful. There's a lot of pain in the world, and you're present to it in that weekend. But this is where I started my personal development journey before I became a coach. I was taught about goal setting, and I brought goal setting workshops all over St. Louis when I worked at this place because I passionately loved goal setting. But a lot of times my goals were like to run a marathon, and it wasn't necessarily focused on how I wanted it to feel. What was the experience that I wanted to have? And so the powerful question I would recommend to anybody who's considering, what they want in their relationship or what they want in their career or how they want to feel with themselves. This is the other most powerful question I ever asked myself, which is, how do I want to be with me? Is how do you want it to feel? What's the experience that you are yearning for in your career? And when you start focusing on the experience that you want to be having, then it's less about what the job is and more about this experience. And then there's so many more jobs that might meet your criteria, not you meet theirs, but it meet yours when you're focused on the experience that you're looking for. I mean, you still get to look at whether it's you have benefits and whether there's flexibility possible. Like those are all, but that again, flexibility is part of an overarching experience where you're probably wanting something like integration between home and work life, or this sensation of balance, which by the way is mostly BS because we were never really balanced, but we're always kind of looking for it, right? Like sometimes we're a little more home, sometimes we're a little more career, and it's okay. We go back and forth. So I think that's the most powerful question I would have people look for is, how do I want my life to feel? What am I yearning for? Like deeply, deeply in the center of my chest. And I've not been able to ask those questions without someone else talking to me Like I struggle to ask that of myself unless I'm journaling, but it's a good idea to have somebody else kind of like talking you through it, a trusted confidant, a dear friend, someone who will really listen and hold your words as sacred and not judge them. So that's the first piece I think I would give to people as far as a powerful question.
Will you use yourself as an example? So when you were asked these questions, it might be too personal for you to get into,
No,
but what did you discover? What did you discover when you asked yourself back in St. Louis, what do I want? How do I want to feel? And there was another one that you had asked, another question. What do I want for me? Was that the?
Yeah. Yes. How do I want to feel with me? You know, how do I want to be with myself? I think, let me answer the first one and then I'll go into that one because it's a little bit maybe longer and much more personal. Wait, I forgot the first question.
Using an example of how you did change by asking yourself these questions, or when someone asked you, because you had a coach that asked you these questions. So what did you discover?
So I was one of the people that came to coaching not really knowing not having a clear, like, this is exactly what I want and by when in my mind, you know, that most of us kind of believe we have to have that before we can be supported with it. And I would say, please don't feel like that you need to actually have it all figured out. I'm looking for qualities in a person, but not like they already have checked certain boxes. You know what I mean? If a person is coachable, then I would like to coach them. If they're not willing to look at how they might be getting in their own way, then they're not ready for coaching. It's not that they're not a good person. It's just not going to be the right thing for them to spend their money on, you know? But in my case, I spent a good amount of time really envisioning the family life in North Carolina that I wanted. And this was a little bit independent of the career conversation. So I'm just going to use like that life. That was the thing that was the most painful for me living in St. Louis, is that our family, Ben's family, all lived 2 hours away from us. So I didn't see them regularly. And when I was growing up, I saw my cousins and my grandmother and all of my aunts and uncles like really regularly. So I kind of grew up in the bosom of this Irish Catholic family in the Northeast before we moved here. And it was like the best thing about being a kid. I just had my cousins around me all the time, just like so many family members. I really wanted my daughter to have that experience. So when I would envision, and actually I can remember exactly what the vision was because of how clear it was. It was me and my parents and my husband and my brother and sister-in-law all kind of sitting around this table, and our children are running on the grass. Like, we have finished dinner and the kids are playing, and it is so simple. It was like the simplest vision in the world, but it's like co-parenting, it's connection, it's love. What I was experiencing primarily was loneliness. You know, Ben and I were doing all of the raising of Avery on our own, but not only that, we weren't even doing it together because there was so much to do. And I think that's societal, the way that we are set up. You know, single parents, God bless you, are absolute warriors. Unbelievable what they do. And for parents in two-parent households who both work, then there's like, when do you go to the grocery store? When do you get your workout in? When do you do all of these things that society is telling us that we need to do? Like, ferry your kids back and forth to all the different things that we've signed them up for. Like, when does that leave space for you to sit around the table as a family and joke? When is there like movie night, you know? And that stuff is what I wanted, and I didn't know how to get it. Now that I live close to all of my family, if my husband's out of town, my brother will call me like, do you want to come over for dinner? So that we can hang together and raise our kids together and kind of share the load together. My parents are amazing. They're constantly supporting us. And I know how privileged I am to have that. And I moved across the country to get it. Like, it's not an accident. And it's still a privilege that I have a loving family that is relatively uncomplicated, because that's not true of many, many people.
This episode of Mama Needs a Moment is sponsored by Camp Gladiator. Camp Gladiator is a health and fitness platform for all ages and fitness levels. They provide workouts that are designed and trained by certified personal trainers, whether that is through their outdoor fitness platform, live online workouts, or through their on-demand library. They also have certified nutrition coaches and registered dietitians who offer nutrition coaching.
I love working out with Camp Gladiator and have been for almost a year now. I think one of the things I love most is the positive environment and community that not only works out together, but also becomes a family outside of camp while supporting and giving back to the community. CG members can participate in an unlimited number of workouts each month And the super fun outdoor workouts include dumbbells along with other fitness toys, which are my favorite, the balls, the bands, the ropes, the fire hoses, so much fun. And the virtual workouts use dumbbells and other things that can be easily found around your home.
Camp Gladiator members have a primary trainer that will keep you motivated, accountable, and will be there to do all they can to help you get the most out of your fitness journey.
CG is also great for moms. I can't remember how many camps I've been to where I've seen moms with their children in tow, whether in a carrier, a stroller. Plus, you'll see older children working out alongside their parent, which is always awesome to see. Sometimes they even use their children as an extra weight or just to bring them into the movements because they want to.
They have an amazing number of workouts that are offered all throughout the day. You can catch outdoor and live online workouts from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. And the on-demand ones are available 24 hours a day. Anyone can join Camp Gladiator for a full week of free workouts. Get your free week using the link in the show notes.
I am so happy for you that you have that. Having the support of family really does make a huge difference. And it's wonderful that you were able to make it happen in 4 months, no less. On your website, you say, elevating feminine leadership is not just about uplifting women. It's about designing an energetic shift in how we lead. It's about cultivating ease to balance our drive and creating a culture of trust at work and at home. It's about taking action for a more equitable world and emphasizing the experience of the journey over the outcome. It's about giving up the need to keep our home life separate from our work life. Through this perspective, we can build a world where we get to show up as the same person in all our spaces. Integrating and balancing the masculine and feminine energies we all hold will change the world, one person, one business, one conversation at a time. When I read that, I got chills. And I want everyone to just pause and go back 30 seconds and listen to it again, because there's so much power in that. This idea of being the same person and showing up as the same person in all the spheres of our life and approaching work and home from a place of trust. And I just, when I think about it, I think about the ease and the peace that brings to life. And it sounds beautiful. I want it. The idea of integrating who we are. And we had briefly talked about balance previously, balance in life. And you had said not obtainable, which is something we hear a lot. It's not about balance. It's about an integration and kind of assessing your values and what's important to you. I want this for all the women in my life. So how the heck do we do it? What does this look like in practice? How do we make it happen?
So how do we make this integration, this ease happen?
Yes. Tell me the way.
I mean, I'll give you all my secrets. And
yes.
I think like it's little by little. So it starts with practicing being ourselves and like not putting on masks in different spaces. This is so funny, but I can remember the first time I saw this beautiful example of integration was with my friend Annie when I was working at Lululemon, and she had maybe a 4 or 5 year old, and I hadn't had kids yet at that point. And she was so herself with her son. She was just her. She was like the same exact Annie that I saw working, who, when she was talking to her son, she was funny. She was like, she didn't have like some special voice for him, you know. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I said to Annie, you are so you with him. I love that. And she said, well, yeah, that's just what I do. And it, for me, for whatever reason, that was kind of a revelation. I think I thought you had to be some kind of a special mom. I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest with you. It was like all subconscious related things. But so when it comes to work, a lot of times we let the culture of the workplace dictate how we show up. And that's an example of being disempowered, of not actually taking the reins and saying, you know, I'm going to let the culture of this company mean that I don't get to be my full self here. So we both need to actually like acknowledge that that happens in companies all the time, and that there are, for certain people, being their full selves maybe isn't safe. And so I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that here. But also, we want to be aware of where we have choices and where we don't. So being a working parent might mean being transparent about the fact that you need to leave to get your kid from school. This all, again, like I said, there can be repercussions because of the way our society is set up. But I would say being aware of where we hide ourselves, like our true selves, is probably the first practice. Like, I can give you such a beautiful example. My husband will love listening to this. Maybe he won't. But like, if I'm really, really sad, I will go and cry in the car or somewhere else. And here's why. Because he loves me. He gets like upset when I cry sometimes because maybe he feels like he needs to help me, or maybe he worries. And so I protect him by not letting him see how sad I am. Well, that's not me letting him see me. I mean, he sees me cry all the time. I am an empath. I can't help it. Like I do cry quite a bit, but there are times, like there were times in the pandemic where it drove me so crazy that my family was home. And I realized it's because I wanted to wail at the top of my lungs because I was miserable. And I missed humans. I missed strangers, like interactions with strangers. The absence of those was killing me. And so I think what happened was I believed that I wasn't lovable in that state. And so I hid it. And this is the opposite of integration. The practice of living a more integrated life is trusting that all of you is acceptable, that like all of you is lovable, that your hurt and pain can resonate with somebody else if you let them see it, that your vulnerability is an invitation to other people to be vulnerable, that your sadness is valid. Like we so often we try to hide these parts of ourselves. It's not in our best interest because we don't get to be fully expressed. So I think the best thing I would say is to start living a life of more ease, is to practice being, maybe like 1% more authentic with your kids, with your partner, in the places where you feel safe. And then you can start practicing it in bigger places, like at work or with your coworkers or with, again, we all need to trust. I trust that, Chrissy, if I tell you to do that, you're not going to just go and do it with somebody who might stamp on your authenticity or like bring you down, right? So everybody needs to make sure that they're trusting and they're looking intuitively at how you practice this. But we can do that. We can practice trusting them too, trusting that they're gonna be okay with I can trust my husband is gonna be okay if I wail.
So this idea of showing up authentically, I love that too. That's something I feel like I've talked with people about recently. What does that mean? Like, how do you know that you are showing up authentically and this is who you are as an authentic? Because I feel like we put so many masks on, and we've been learning how to put masks on from a very young age. We've been putting masks on in front of teachers, in front of our peers, in front of our parents. We've been trying to fit in. We've been trying to, get a raise or a promotion and fit a certain bill. So at a certain point, I think a lot of people lose sight of who they are authentically. So how do you find that if that is the situation?
That's a great question. It's the first conversation that I have with clients where we actually use other people to remind us of who our authentic self is, because like you said, we lose track of it so easily. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, when you're looking for a job, asking other people, what do I bring to the table? What am I wonderful at? What would you recommend for me? We all always, again, want to take their suggestions with a grain of salt, but the assessment that I do with brand new clients is like finding out what they bring into a room. And that is like, in my case, the essence of Kristin is grace and beauty and heart and power and magic. Those are my words. The words that like were gathered for me as I interviewed 10 of my closest friends and family. And so the reason that I do that with clients is because I'm creating a common language for us. So they have a touch point and saying, this is what we've agreed upon is like the real you. And then when, those words were an invitation for me when I was first given them. I was like, oh, I didn't even understand what was magical about me at all. I'd asked my husband, and then he said like the best thing in the world to me. And I bawled all the way up the escalator in Chicago. So like, yeah, he said, how can you not see this in yourself? You're so magical with our daughter. Every time you see a sunset, you go chasing it in the car, like things like that. And I was like, I didn't see it. I did not see it. So I needed him to tell me, so I would say, use the people around you. It is a vulnerable conversation. But like your best friend, just start with your best friend. Be like, what is it? What do you think is my authentic self? They'll tell you, and you'll know too. That's the thing that I think we forget. We can tell. We don't trust our intuition, but it's always there and it never leaves us. You can feel it when you're being you. there's joy there. There's some kind of like alignment, this sensation of like, yes. So we have to tune in to and really start trusting ourselves, choose to trust ourselves. It's a choice. You don't have to like do anything before you can trust yourself. You can just say, I'm going to do that here.
I love it. Cindy, get ready. At our meeting later, I'm going to ask you about my authentic self.
Yes.
All right, good.
She's a perfect
Thanks for giving me a heads up. Because when you're put on the spot, I'm like, wow, my gosh, there's just so much.
Well, and when we do it with the client, I'm always like, remind them it's not a test of their love for you. It's just like a touch point. It's just a gift.
At one point, I don't know where I found it. It has been something that I resource constantly. I have a list of, I think, 300 adjectives to describe your child. But I resource this list to help go back and describe other people because it reminds me, yes, I do think this about her. She's very witty. I do think this about her. She's got this super intelligence. I just love it.
That's another practice that you can do to help build your authentic self, is to witness the authenticity in others. It's the same thing. You're looking for it. You look for it in you and you look for it in them, and it makes it easier to find it. So I love that.
I do love that. I think this might have been taken off of your website, or if I took it from an article that you were being interviewed in, but you said, quote, "It's time for us to write a new story. I'm interested in a different way of being where success is based less on what we achieve and more on how much we enjoy ourselves in the process. That's why I believe that to build the future of our world, we must invest in a different way of thinking." Can you elaborate on that? Is this different way of thinking tied into a lot of what we've already discussed, or are you alluding to something else?
I think it's about being intrinsically motivated versus extrinsically motivated, mainly. A lot of times we are looking for, if we have, a lot of times our thinking goes, if I have the house, then I can be happy. Or if I have that job or that promotion or that vacation or that new haircut, I'm just making this up, whatever, then I will be happy. And so we have this goal, this future state in mind that makes it possible for us. And then a lot of times, I can think about this one lovely client that I worked with, an architect. She wanted to be financially independent, meaning like she could retire at 30 by the time that she was 30. And she worked her butt off. And she like saved and saved and saved and saved all the way up until that time. And then when she got there, she was like, it's not what I expected. She expected to feel free and she expected it to be wonderful. And it was not like that, actually. She was still constantly like kind of in scarcity mode about money. And she didn't understand why that was. And so when we are looking at the end goal or the result in the process, a lot of times we lose track of the journey. That's what I was talking about earlier. Right. So we want to look at, how am I at peace with myself every day? And what's getting in the way of that? What are the beliefs that I have about me that are, keeping me up at night?
A powerful question.
It's a really powerful question. And that stuff takes time. It takes healing. It takes therapy, but starting to believe the best in ourselves versus only relating to the worst is essentially like everything I do all day, every day, and the practice that I take on for me. And what I constantly invite my daughter to do as a mom. I'm like, hey, wow, it sounds like you're not giving yourself very much credit here. Why would you think that about you?
Right.
It's just challenging those default beliefs that we suck. We do not suck.
I know. And isn't it crazy how kids say that so early on? I don't ever say that to them. Where are they getting this from? Referring to my children, it brings me down big time when I hear them say mean stuff to themselves. But
yeah.
What if there are individuals who find themselves in need of wanting to live a fully expressed life while bringing their best into motherhood, relationships, and career, but they don't have the financial resources to hire a coach's service? It's such a cycle of defeat. They want to improve their situation, but they can't afford the services that it may take in order to get them where they have the ability to go. Can you tell us some options that they might have? We would like to give a huge thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Your support truly means the world to us. Thanks to you, we are able to continue the weekly production of Mama Needs a Moment and getting this valuable information from these incredible guests out to you, our listeners. This final question has been recorded as a mini bonus episode, and is available for our Patreon subscribers to go listen to right now.
This was such an important conversation, Kristin, and I am so grateful for your insights into everything. You have such a beautiful way of looking at the world and soaking it in. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. As always, it is a delight talking to the two of you. And I am
thanks.
so, I'm so grateful to get to speak to you and to be with you, and also for the community that you made. So many of my clients have been so desperately looking for something just like Her Health. And so I just think it's a wonderful thing that you made it. And I know it was created with like just deep amounts of love and commitment. So thank you for doing what you do. So good.
Oh,
Thank you,
so sweet.
Kristin.
Thank you. I hope you gathered some useful information from our time with Kristin that you can begin implementing right away. Here are our 3 takeaways. Number 1, coaching often comes down to asking powerful questions that get to the root of the individual's personal desires. We asked Kristin to share what powerful questions were asked of her and what questions she asked herself. What questions should our listeners begin to ask themselves right now to begin making a difference in their lives? Kristin said, quote, "The first powerful questions I would recommend to anybody who's considering what they want in their relationship or what they want in their career is to ask yourself, how do I want to feel? And what is the experience that I want to have?" Another way to ask this question is, how do I want my life to feel? Sit and allow yourself to determine what you're yearning for, deep, deep in the center of your chest. She went on to say the other most powerful question she ever asked herself is, how do I want to feel with me? How do I want to be with myself? Number 2, we wanted to know the secrets to showing up as the same person in all our spaces and approaching work and home from a place of trust. We wanted to know how to make this integration. Kristin said that it starts with practicing being ourselves and not putting on masks in different spaces, noticing where we have choices and where we are safe to be authentically ourselves. She said that being aware of where we hide ourselves, like our true selves, is the first part of the practice. She went on to explain that the practice of living a more integrated life is trusting that all of you is acceptable and all of you is lovable, that your hurt and pain can resonate with somebody else if you let them see it, that your vulnerability is an invitation to other people to be vulnerable, and that we don't try to hide parts of ourselves we think may be unacceptable. Hiding is not in our best interest because we don't get to be fully expressed. Kristin suggested that a way to start living a life of more ease is to practice being you. Perhaps this is done by being 1% more authentic with your kids, with your partner, and in the places where you feel safe. And then you can start practicing it in bigger places, like at work or with your coworkers. The part of trust comes down to having faith and using your intuition to be selective in the beginning of this practice. Choose to practice becoming more authentic around people who are going to embrace all parts of you, trusting that they will be okay. Eventually, the practice gets easier and expands to include more and more people. Number 3, we asked Kristin about a quote where she stated, quote, "I'm interested in a different way of being where success is based less on what we achieve and more on how we enjoy ourselves in the process. That's why I believe that to build the future of our world, we must invest in a different way of thinking," end quote. We wanted to understand what she meant by a different way of thinking. Kristin explained that it comes down to being intrinsically motivated versus extrinsically motivated. We often have a future state in mind, that if I get X, then I will be happy. Many times, if we get there, then it's not what we expected. Kristin said that, quote, "When we are looking at the end goal or the result in the process, a lot of times we lose track of the journey." She suggested asking yourself some powerful questions, such as, how am I at peace with myself every day? And what is getting in the way of that? What are the beliefs that I have about me that are keeping me up at night? It takes a lot of self-exploration to start believing the best in ourselves versus only relating to the worst. Kristin says, quote, "It's about challenging those default beliefs that we suck. We, do not suck.
High five, friend. We've enjoyed hanging out with you. Follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you've enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.